42. Reclaim the power you see. Reclaim the power. Recapitulation. Owning your power. Where you put your energy is your choice. Overcoming triggers through self-awareness. Energy vampires. Reclaiming your soul fragments. Energy vampires, reclaiming your soul fragments, observing the observer, shifting victim mentality. When we embrace an energy-aware lifestyle, we start to notice when we feel drained or ungrounded. We may feel flat out of our center after spending time with certain people or places. Our energy is our responsibility. And how we give it away becomes a conscious choice as we step into empowerment. But what about the fragments of self we gave away before we came to this awareness? Absolutely. Yes, it is possible to recover and restore yourself to wholeness. In shamanic practice, recapturing and reuniting with lost fragments of ourselves is called recapitulation. Even when we become aware of the patterning that unnecessarily chews up our energy, we may still feel drained by certain people or situations. When we grow our awareness further and take note of the triggers, we see it always our choice where our energy goes. Although it might not feel that way, energy goes where your attention flows. Always. We may feel we need to give to the people we most care about in a way that depletes us. We may hold a subconscious sense of obligation to others. Or a belief that our own needs cannot be met until we have taken care of everyone else. We may run ourselves ragged, meeting deadlines, keeping customers, living up to expectations, or ensuring we have everything our children require from us. Many of us expend energy through drama, self-doubt, self-sabotage, anxiety, and fear. Sometimes we sense we are giving too much, but cannot see exactly how it is happening. That's not true with us. We are paying attention to it a lot more these days. Or that our effort may be unproductive, even counterproductive. But it doesn't have to be like this. To claim more time and energy for ourselves, look at what is and isn't serving us. What is and isn't serving us. We may need to make changes in our external environment. More often, the most effective change will be to our perception of self. What beliefs and learnings serve us? What fear-based and limiting expectations are keeping us from our power? Consciously choose and align ourselves with ideas that serve us, and suddenly we will have a lot more energy for the meaningful, inspiring parts of our life. We will also have improved presence and more for our loved ones. Improved presence and more energy for our loved ones. We become aware of our patterning through self-awareness. By observing the observer, we can broaden our perspective of how and why we react to certain stimuli. This understanding helps us untangle ourselves from drama. We can distinguish what is relevant and real to us in the here and now from outdated stories Instead of reacting when we feel triggered, we can peel back the layers of those moments and claim greater understanding of ourselves and the myth we have unwittingly subscribed to, or that others have ascribed to us. Meditation can help us explore and take responsibility for our internal dissonance. Anything that takes us out of the busyness of our mind can heighten our perspective so we can see the bigger picture. We are spirit and not the mind. There are other contributors to energy depletion, such as not having enough healthy food or sleep. Diet and lifestyle are usually easier to rebalance than our self-beliefs. Illness and environments that affect self-esteem or where our soul does not feel at home or safe are other factors. We may need outside help to reclaim our energy, but having an awareness of what is required is a step closer to being able to fix the problem and can start the healing process. When we are going through tough times, doing something that makes our soul rejoice, even something small, is extremely helpful in boosting our energy levels. Divinatory meeting. This card encourages us to be aware of where our energy is going. If we are not at our optimal energy level, it invites us to consider the core of why this may be. We may have the power to own our energy and choose where we direct it. Look at situations that trigger drama and anxiety. To reduce energy loss, detach from environments or people that are not healthy for us. It is up to us to make the shift. Music, sound, the stuff that are throwing energy that doesn't matter and distracting you to lowerness. Victim mentality is no help also. So realize we have the power to transform our life and choose healing and self-empowerment. I said I love myself. I said I love myself. It is time to kickstart the upward spiral to abundant energy and soul presence. Oh yeah, reclaim that. Reclaim your energy. It's definitely time to do that. Number 2 question was, and this one is talking about clear my aura. It says aura insights and clearing. I allow a lot of people to get inside of my energy bodies, and I realize I can do the rituals to get them out. So the second one is my chakras. The first question was, what is the most prominent theme for clearing our energy body right now, reclaiming my energy? And it says, what colors are my aura? Refer to the chakras. My aura right now is like a fiery orange, orangey yellow, also with a lot of purple around me because my third eye is going womp, 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 womp. I'm truly, and it says the sound of the universe, which is page 51. So, definitely excited. 51, not page, but 51 card. The sound of the universe. It says life-changing experiences, glimpses, the great mysteries, significant timing, pivotal moments, the Sri Yantra, the tuning fork of the universal consciousness. The tuning fork of universal consciousness, music, transcending mundane reality. This card signifies those pivotal moments that transcends belief, reminds us of a greater reality, and influences us so that life will never be the same again. When we started channeling paintings, we explored sacred geometry by including it as the key element in our creations. Without knowing much about its meaning, when we looked up the wisdom of the Sri Yantra, we were blown away. It symbolizes the sound of the universe. This painting was crucial for us, as it was the make or break decider for whether we could fulfill our dream as a painter. It was also significant as we crashed our car trying to steady the painting and momentarily taking our eyes off the road. The events that followed delivered the most spiritual growth we've ever experienced in this lifetime. Up until that point. Interestingly, this piece has also vanished. The Sri Yantra is a powerful symbol, described as the tuning fork that connects us to the universal consciousness. It is present in those aha moments, the fragments in time when life as we know it falls away to reveal a place outside the mundane. It brings a sense of awe and overwhelms, and yet it also feels so real that it jolts us back to our core for deeper remembering. It allows us to fathom our limitlessness. This card is also about music as a sacred tool. It speaks of the importance of having a soundtrack for our journey. Music was an essential aspect of ceremony in Lemuria, as it bridged the gap between matter and the non-matter. Even in this dimension, music opens the portals to an array of feelings and atmospheres. Bring more music into our life and expand our experience and shift our sense of ordinary reality. Last question that we have is, what theme can best inspire me to keep my energy clear? What theme can full spectrum, colors of the rainbow, colors of the many different angels, colors of the rainbow, colors of the many different angels, colors of the rainbow, colors of the many different angels. Full spectrum, creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles. Bars, creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles, going beyond the judgment of good and bad, the merging of duality, raw nature, earth, wisdom, connecting to ancestors, Shadows as the fertile soil for exponential growth. The way forward is in the whisperings of the land. The merging of duality, raw nature, earth wisdom connecting to the ancestors, shadows as fertile soil for exponential growth. Facts. The forward is the whisperings of the land, honoring the full spectrum of life. The ancestors in the lands are definitely waiting and tapping into the divas, the stones, the crystals. What does heaven on earth look like to you? Do we imagine lush green nature, ancient forests, pristine beaches, crystalline water systems, and all the planet's residents in full health, living in harmony with each other? And yet, nature in its purest, rawest form is a balance of life and death, growth and decomposition, the eaters and the eaten. In one way or another, this is the natural flux of life. We already live in Eden, but our efforts to own and segregate brings us further away from this paradigm. We already live in Eden, but our efforts to own and segregate bring us further away from this paradigm. Power trips, the need for imagined security, fear, or avoidance of the shadow keeps us out of our freedom. The need to preserve and hold on tightly only stunts our growth, and leaves us drowning in a sea of plastic. The real disease on earth, the barrier to eating, is in our minds. Life happens, but it is our perception of good and bad and our black and white judgments that prevents us from seeing the grander truth. When duality becomes one, we will find Shambhala before us. Duality becomes one, we will find Shambhala before us. Perhaps we can find inspiration from nature and the animal kingdom. Does the tiny frog spend its days anxious over its vulnerable future? What happens when we realize fertile compost greets us when we allow ourselves to transmute our pain? When we honor all that came before, our roots are nourished and we grow with more vitality, vibrancy, and life force. We can anchor more light for the collective and in turn seed new growth. What happens when we realize the keys to our future are in the wisdom of the earth and the dreamings of the indigenous? The answers are in the geometry of the macro and the microcosms, the nurturing embrace of oneness in the Mama Nature's arms. We love you, Mama Nature, Mama Gaia. What happens when we find peace within the full spectrum of life, full spectrum being? Even the notion of separation, this disease can be symbolized as no more than a blackened leaf on a healthy tree. The ebb and flow of our evolution and de-evolution is a temporary blip in the universe. The message is to be what we can, to ground heaven on earth, but not out of fear. We often try to avoid or run from the negative situations, but when fear steers our decisions and our actions far more devastation can result. When we choose to let our hearts lead us from stories and outdated patterns, our challenges become the fertile compost that feeds our ascending tendrils as they reach to the heavens and ground its light back on earth. I love that. Shadow is fertile ground. That's why cards and energy readers and people are tuned into their frequencies are very powerful. And this is what the world needs right now. Raising your vibration and knowing that we're all one consciousness. And that's why we need to come together. Maybe not all of us, but a good majority needs to come together to balance. Divinatory meaning. Step out of the black and white mentality of judgment. Go beyond, from the crown and beyond, the concepts of good and bad. This card invites us to honor the full spectrum of life and find a new way of perceiving your situation. When we judge something, we create a story around it. These stories often create limitation. Subconsciously, we gather so many of these stories over a lifetime to heal our dis-ease and crystallize the new way. We need to create a space of no story where miraculous healing can happen. A space of no story. Where miraculous healing can happen. This space empowers us to be all we are and allows us to know our truth. Embrace the full spectrum of creation in all her colors and the raw, muddy, earthbound shadow parts of a situation to determine whether they're actually bad or if stories we have held onto are limiting our perspective. So we are grateful for y'all hanging around for this divine ass reading. Check us out tomorrow at the Church of Mindset, only in the Zoom room. The Youth Church of Mindset will be kicking off starting at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:08 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All children are welcome. We'll be going over meditation, creation, discussing the relationship with their self, with their God, their ancestors, their spirit universe. And then also at 9:09, we welcome the parents to hang around, and we have the mission of Sarah Hall and the actual Church of Mindset. Send us a message if you're interested. If you're interested in a reading, personal reading, send us. These Lumerian cards are so fucking lit. My mouth is going ham crazy, hamtastic. This has been an aura cleanse. Check us out on YouTube for the full video. Also check us out on Instagram at 369_conversations. Where we're healing the conversations among the many people of these nations. Ashe.